My friend Hana stayed with me for 6 weeks while finishing a research project in my city, and within the first 3 days, I noticed something strange happening to my apartment. Nothing dramatic, no lecture about my habits, no passive-aggressive comments about the pile of mail on my counter. Just small, quiet shifts. A drawer that used to jam shut suddenly closed smoothly. My laundry, which usually sat half-finished in the washer for a day before I remembered it, kept finishing completely on the same day it started. I finally asked her directly what she was doing, half joking that my apartment felt haunted by efficiency. She laughed and admitted she'd been applying habits she grew up with in Nagano, almost unconsciously, the way you might hum a familiar tune without noticing. Over the following weeks, I asked her to explain each one deliberately, and what I got wasn't a cleaning schedule or a list of products. It was a completely different relationship with tasks and objects, built from 6 specific practices. I've kept every one of them since she left, and my apartment has never gone back to its old chaotic rhythm. Here's exactly what she taught me. Hana approached household tasks the way a martial artist approaches a kata, a fixed, memorized sequence of movements performed the same way every single time, without variation or improvisation. When she cleaned the kitchen, it was always in the exact same order. Counters first, then stovetop, then sink, then floor, every time, without exception. When she got ready in the morning, the sequence of actions never changed either. I asked why the order mattered so much, assuming it was just personal preference. Her answer surprised me. A fixed sequence eliminates the tiny, exhausting decisions we don't even realize we're making constantly. Where do I start? What should I do next? Did I already do this part? Each of those micro decisions costs mental energy, and when multiplied across an entire cleaning routine, they add up to real fatigue. Often the exact reason cleaning feels so much more draining than the physical effort alone would suggest. With a fixed kata, your body simply moves through the sequence automatically, freeing your mind entirely from the burden of deciding. I tested this myself, picking one fixed order for my own kitchen routine and repeating it identically every time. Within 2 weeks, cleaning that space felt almost automatic, requiring noticeably less mental effort than before, even though the physical actions themselves hadn't changed at all. One afternoon, I watched Hana reorganize my hallway closet, and she stopped filling a shelf noticeably before it looked full to me. When I pointed this out, she explained a principle she called simply the 80% rule. Never fill any storage space beyond roughly 80% of its total capacity, always leaving deliberate breathing room rather than maximizing every available inch. This felt counterintuitive at first. Wasn't the entire point of storage to use all the space you have? But she explained the practical consequence of ignoring this buffer. When a drawer or shelf is completely full, putting anything back becomes a small fight every single time. Items need to be squeezed, rearranged, sometimes removed just to fit the returning object back into place. That tiny friction, repeated dozens of times daily across a full home, becomes exactly the kind of resistance that causes people to abandon a return item habit and just set things down somewhere easier instead. By keeping 20% of every space intentionally empty, returning items stays effortless, which means the habit of putting things away actually survives long-term rather than collapsing under its own friction. I applied this to every drawer and shelf in my apartment, removing roughly a fifth of what I'd crammed into each one, and immediately noticed how much less resistance I felt every time I put something away. Hana pointed out something about my own behavior that I genuinely never noticed. I made the same small decisions over and over, every single day, as though encountering them fresh each time. Where does my work bag go when I get home? Sometimes the chair, sometimes the floor, sometimes the counter, because I'd never actually decided, just repeatedly improvised in the moment. She called her alternative approach Ichido Kime, deciding once, permanently, so the decision never has to be made again. She'd apply this to everything. Where wet umbrellas go. What happens to receipts the moment they're handed to her? Where returned library books wait before their next trip out? Each decision got made a single time, thoughtfully, and then simply followed forever after, without relitigating it daily. I realized how much mental energy I was wasting by treating recurring situations as fresh decisions every time they arose, rather than settled matters requiring no further thought. I sat down and made Ichido Kime decisions for the 5 items I most frequently misplaced, writing nothing down, just committing mentally to one fixed answer for each. Within days, the low-grade friction of "where does this go again?" disappeared entirely from those 5 categories. I used to be someone who started tasks and paused them constantly. Laundry left damp in the machine overnight. Dishes half-washed with a few stragglers left for later. A folding pile of clean clothes that sat on my bed for 2 days before actually making it into drawers. Hana called this breaking the Nagashi, the natural flow of a task, and she treated incomplete flows as one of the primary sources of household chaos, more damaging than people realize. Her rule was simple but strict. Don't start a task unless you can complete its full flow in one sitting. If you don't have time to finish laundry completely, washing, drying, and putting away, don't start the wash cycle yet. Wait until you actually have the full window available. This felt restrictive initially, almost inconvenient, but the outcome proved her right. Every unfinished flow I used to leave behind became its own small source of ongoing mental clutter. A task hovering unresolved in the back of my mind until I eventually returned to it, usually days later, usually with some frustration attached. Once I committed to only starting tasks I could carry through their entire flow, the number of unfinished things scattered through my apartment, and my mind dropped dramatically, almost immediately. The final concept Hana shared with me wasn't a technique at all, but a shift in perspective that changed how I felt about cleaning altogether. She introduced me to mono no aware, a Japanese aesthetic idea centered on the gentle acceptance of impermanence, the understanding that nothing stays the same, that mess will return, that order is temporary by nature, and that this isn't a failure but simply the natural rhythm of a lived-in space. I'd always approached cleaning with a kind of quiet resentment, as though every mess was a battle I was destined to keep losing, an endless war against entropy I could never permanently win. Hana's perspective reframed this entirely. A clean home isn't a fixed achievement you defend forever. It's a temporary state you gently restore again and again. The same way you might rake a Zen garden knowing the lines will need redrawing tomorrow, without frustration, simply as part of its nature. This single shift in mindset didn't change any specific action I took, but it changed how I felt while taking them, less like corrective punishment for failing to stay clean, more like a small, expected ritual of ongoing care, repeated calmly, without resentment. For as long as I live in any space I call home,